After a short break, we're looking at the crypto market to understand where exactly this monthly candle close is taking us. I certainly believe we're going in for volatility. Just like I told you guys, you need to watch out. The monthly candle is about to close, and it's not only that. You have a weekly candle close coming just after that, and then a 3-day candle close. How is this going to play out in the market? You're watching these assets being volatile, attracting micro retail entries. What should they do actually? Yeah. If you do look at short-term charts, say a daily, Bitcoin argues this. That is a continuation pattern where it argues the fact that the momentum's changing. Yeah, on a daily chart, that kind of is the truth. You just saw one candle erasing last two candles, and then just for that one mother candle, it took 3 candles to come back up, which is still showing a slow movement. So in that micro scenario, bulls, they're not in control. It's the bears who are slowly jumping in. Remember, that's on a daily chart. Now, the argument is, yeah, daily is important, but you're going for a monthly close. So monthly is way more important than the daily. Yeah, because that supersedes the daily, the 3-day, the weekly. You get to see all of these happening in front of you. So right now, we're going to break it through into Bitcoin, Altcoin, XRP, Ether, all of these markets on a weekly and a monthly horizon to see what exactly we may see by the first week of June. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. When we talk about crypto and the monthly candle close coming in, you need to be prepared to see how the monthly is looking like for those assets, yeah? Whether it's DOT, COM, SIL, HOLO, KDA, CRO, Ether, you name it, yeah? If you have those in your mind, you need to be a part of this family where 1,700 plus members are readily taking benefits of each and everything I post there. Now, let me get straight into this and give you guys a basic breakdown. Bitcoin monthly is still holding on about 109,000. Only if that close below 102 or just close to that, there is a superior risk of us watching this again, meaning you go slightly above it, then get rejected there, bring in negative divergence, yeah, then you're going down for sure. So watch out what it's going to do, because I already told you guys, like, I think this is the cycle top just like here. The next one is the trap, and then you go down, yeah? So you're kind of at that territory because you already have a monthly negative divergence and weekly negative divergence, which is active. But above all of those, when you're on a quarterly chart, you need to keep this in your mind, because remember, when you do watch all of these, you have to keep in mind we're going very close to the next quarterly. Yeah. So that candle closing here can literally say, okay, that's a trend line resistance for Bitcoin all the way from 2017. I mean, that's pretty important. Now, yeah, that's Bitcoin. Yes, that's 3 months. If you're not involved in all of those volatility and not interested in them, now you need to be looking out for that, because that's exactly what will drive the market for next 1 week for sure, because the monthly supersedes the weekly. So there has to be changes on the weekly based on what the monthly should look like. There has to be changes on a 3-day or a daily based on what the monthly should look like. So the trouble is, whales, when they exit, that's the moment you'll see, oh shit, this is what they were planning to. And that's why I say that moment, as soon as that kind of comes into the picture, you'll see that in the SI family. Whenever I see something, I post it, regardless of the time and the location where I'm at. Now, from Bitcoin, if you do go to Ether, this is a zoomed in view. Yeah, that's a daily chart. And the daily kind of argues you had a negative divergence, a micro one for sure, but then it's getting extended. So that amount of selling pressure which came in, it's not getting invalidated. Yeah, that's on the daily. Now, keep in mind that daily will get kicked out by a 3-day, by a weekly if they're still bullish. Great. Now, watch this. This region in the recent past shows a lot of similarities with what we are watching now. So it's our duty to go back there and see, okay, did we actually get a negative divergence there? And if you see we did get negative divergence at that point, now you know what's happening. Yeah, good, great. You actually got a negative divergence very close to that. And then immediately it formed hidden bullish divergence. Now, that's exactly what we have right now. So if the price remains volatile, come back down to 2300 and bounce, remember on a 3-day, which is just about that, daily, is still bullish. Easy part. You don't need a lot of these ideas. You just have to put that on a Heikin-Ashi chart. If the Heikin-Ashi on a 3-day is green, don't be concerned. Yeah, it can be a corrective region like this, but then you get a pop. Perfect. Now, if you have a little bit more discipline, if you have a little bit more patience, you're on a weekly. You're looking at this. Whoa. Yeah, there has been times where you're slow for sure, but when you're above the moving average on a weekly, when you're green on a weekly, when you're above 50 on the RSI, usually you continue to the upside. So that's Ether. Yeah. Now, remember, all of this is going to get realigned with respect to the monthly. Yeah, we are going to get the monthly candle close. Now, watch. After few candles of red, the moment you actually get a shift in the momentum, you know what's going to happen. Yeah, and that's exactly what's coming in here. So if this candle closes here, now this thing about Heikin-Ashi on a higher time frame is your ability. You need to be here. Yeah, watch the price. That's close to 2600. Watch the price on a Heikin-Ashi. Remember, Heikin-Ashi starts the next candle at the midsection of the current candle. Watch all of these. It starts the next candle at the midpoint of the current candle. Yeah, you get that? So that means the next candle is going to start somewhere around 2100, but immediately the current price is 2600. Boom. You get what? A big shaved candle to the upside. Perfect. Now, what does that mean? This is visualizing the reality into the future using Heikin-Ashi. Now, you can literally use different tools if you like. If you want, you can actually go in and use a basic tool like, say, for example, Ranko chart. That's actually okay. But I would actually argue one thing to you. You need to actually think about the base idea of what you're going to look for. If you're going to look for a market cycle top or a bull season, then basically you need to think about this. Okay, I'm about to ride this to the upside. Great. How high? Yeah, this needs to be answered. Now, put it on a candlestick, Japanese candlestick. What do you see? One candle raising last 2.5 candles on a monthly. So that's bullish. That look really bullish. Good. Now, where's your trend line resistance? Now, even if you are crazy negative on this asset, you can say, okay, clearly, I think this is going to come back up to 3600. there is a huge possibility in that region. Fine, that's not bad. But remember, when we were at the bottom, at the bottom, I argued this. Historically speaking, Ether formed its bottom, cycle bottom, local bottom, everything close to a 40 RSI on a monthly. And you see that history plays out. I don't know why, but I do know this. Yeah, that's playing out for some weird reason. But you, as an investor or a trader in the market, it's your responsibility to see what exactly is repeating and use that for your portfolio and your advantage. Perfect. Now, Ether is kind of sorted out. Now, pick up XRP. This is a monthly candle for XRP. Now, this is from Binance and it does not actually give you a lot of clarity. I would actually argue that when you go in to XRP, you may have to go into the market cap because it has a lot of different exchanges. It's listed in hundreds of exchanges. You need to look through the volume. I don't know which exchange has the highest volume, but you literally have to sit there and watch. So right now, yes, the argument, I've been getting a lot of clips from a lot of different individuals saying, watch, it's going to happen. I'm like, yeah, there is decent odds showing you that it is a possibility. But let me ask you, when did that start? When the price and the moving average met each other. Perfect. Fine. So, do you think we're at that region now? I don't. Yeah. Now, that's a monthly. Now, the question is, you have inverted hammer, you have a hammer, both of them looking extremely bullish. And right now you have another candle, which is again a hammer. Trouble is, that hammer came in here. So it's complete dojis playing out. And one is saying I'm bullish, one is saying I'm bearish. So that's where the concern is. Yeah. So you have to break it down to understand what exactly is happening there. So I come into a weekly, and the weekly shows me, okay, I had a doji, which is a hammer. Immediately, the next candle which formed on a weekly, that was this. That was what? A bearish engulfing candle. And the very next candle is continuing to the downside. So you kind of get the idea. Now, fine, you want to see what exactly is the higher time frame structure showing you. So here I am, I'm going on to a quarterly chart on XRP. This is like you're going ultra long. Now, let me ask you this. Whenever you see a huge breakout like this, that is valid. On a macro, that's extremely bullish. Now, let me ask you this. You saw a huge breakout here. Yeah? I mean, that's a perfect breakout. Now, watch this. Don't misunderstand. I'm not bearish on this asset long term. I'm just showing you what I think is going to happen. You zoom in on a monthly, you see an extreme breakout. Perfect. Bullish shaped candle. The very next month, the very next quarter, you see that the price come back down there to retest it. Do you see this? The volatility was extremely high, and the visibility of that is shaken by the volatility. Just look at that long wick. When you're on a weekly, you don't see this picture. Up to a weekly, you don't see this. When you come to a monthly, when you come to a quarterly, you see that. So here we are on a monthly chart of XRP because we're going to get a monthly close. Fine. Yeah, you have a breakout that's valid. It's extremely bullish. But the retest is still pending, and that's where there is a little bit of concern. This took off after the retest. Fine. Now leave that. Next thing, it came back down in the RSI. That shows, okay, it's cool, it's cool. But then you look at how much it dropped. For the RSI to drop that much, and the price says I dropped close to 70%. And here, we're not yet there for that. So it's like, unless you get a weekly at least bullish divergence, it's going to be very risky. Now, you can ask, okay, what does that actually mean? A weekly bullish divergence if I'm waiting for it. Fine, I've actually explained it before, but I'll do that again. You see this kind of a move, perfect. But for that to happen, price needs to do at least this, go below these region, and then form a bullish divergence. Fine. Now you go on, say you pick total alt market, and you go on to the monthly. What does the monthly chart show you on an alt market segment? I mean, it's easy if you put it into Heikin-Ashi. It's showing I'm turning green, and you know this. You know this better than me. When it's green and the candle is about to close in green on a monthly above the 21-day moving average, it's easy. It's a little bit easy to understand. That's somewhere here. That's somewhere here. Now, maybe you have 2-3 months upside. Maybe you have a lot of these upside coming in. But what you have to factor in is that on a Heikin-Ashi, you do not have a negative divergence. But immediately when you switch to Japanese candlesticks, you do have a negative divergence. So it's very confusing for sure, because one is saying, I'm gonna end this rally in 2 months, 3 months. Another one is saying, no, maybe I have 4-5 months. Who do you trust? Yeah, you'll have to go on different time horizons in all of those same techniques. So here you're on a weekly and you're still using a Heikin-Ashi chart. Heikin-Ashi here on a weekly suggests you something. That's a negative divergence, and there can be an extension to test that one. That's okay. Now, on a current level, we already talked about what the MACD cross means, where the RSI is, what the price action may look like. Yeah. Now, remember, that playing out is a cool thing. Because when you're in few of these assets, you need to understand that. Say, honestly, you put it on a Japanese candlestick on a monthly, and you kind of see like, okay, we're going back up, and the RSI level which you have to keep in your mind is this. You can come back up to 72, that's okay, and still the price can go back down. Now the question is, how many of those assets are doing the exact same thing? Meaning you're kind of watching Bitcoin in negative, you're watching Doge 0.3% up, Ether 1.3% up. Whereas Solana is just break even for the day. So you kind of get the idea. Not every coin will move exactly same. XRP is down, XLM is up. They are they're supposed to be highly correlated asset, but it's doing this. So the market and its volatility is where they catch you. Yeah. So now you go on. Now zoom in. Okay, what exactly is happening now? What they are trying to do? All of these things. On a daily, as of now, it's still like this. I mean, this is the structure formation here. Unless there is a hidden bullish divergence or a bullish divergence, the structure remains the same. So you go on further, you zoom in on a 4-hour chart, and the 4-hour, the micro says, okay, see, I have a double bottom here. Yeah, I'm making a wave 1 structure here. Good. So what about me doing the wave 2? Yeah, that's still possible, right? So when you're doing the double bottom, when you're doing the wave 1, you can do the wave 2. Now sometimes the correction is very bad, but then you can do the wave 3. So let's see if this can actually pull off something like that and then make a negative divergence on a 3-day chart. So here we are, easy thing. You're slowly progressing from daily to 3-day, 3-day to weekly to see where you get negative divergence on all of these horizons. This is where you're like, okay, fine, I'm out. I don't care how high the price may go from here. It's a speculation and I don't want to participate in that. Rather, I'm really happy to stay aside and watch what the reality looks like. Because historically speaking, this plays out 95% of the time. So if you want to bet that this is that 5%, it's completely up to you. But I would argue the percentage terms here matters a lot more, and I would go with that 95 rather than pointing it to the other direction. Because when I'm here on a weekly and I see, okay, there is a negative divergence getting extended, and I go to a monthly, which argues the negative divergence in here is absolutely true. On a monthly, it is valid. On a quarterly, it is valid. I'm like, fine. Why go against it? If the history has always shown you something, let's see how it plays out. But for sure, there is micro differences inside this cycle, because this is the first time where after the initial negative divergence formation, you're going for a retest. Yeah, the extension of that. And that's exactly what worries me, because say, for example, you look at this, it's an easy way to put it in. You extend this trend line. The moment you break that trend line, I'll put a vertical line so I'm not misrepresenting any information here. The moment you see this thing, oh, shit, that's confirmed. What does that mean? You know what it means. Now, it's not parable, it's in front of you. The trend was over. Perfect. Now you take another trend line. This is basic education in here. There is no hype, no rubbish. So this is your trend line. And what happens? The moment you break that trend line in here, you put it here. What do you see? The very next candle in here argued get out. And that was 52,000, not the absolute top for sure. But then you didn't have to write it back to 15,000. Perfect. Now, watch this. If that was the history of this asset during all of these times, what do you think is going to happen? Maybe we are here. Yeah, there is a possibility like that. But the moment you see it breaking to the downside, now you know what that means. Don't tell nobody showed you the truth, because this is going back last 10, 12 years, so that you don't actually misunderstand it, because the majority is still hyping it up. If I want to hype it up, yes, I'll start getting more views. You can see when now this is way back before the cycle wave 2 started, where we thought it's going to do a lot big numbers like XRP and a lot of other assets. We were getting much better views. But now when the reality starts coming in, when you have to bite the bullet, not everyone likes that. But what's the difference? Those few who took the right decision, they are being proven correct. And that's all you want. I mean, your portfolio growing and you realizing that profits is way better than you watching that profit slowly eroding back down. What do you want? To seize that opportunity and pay the capital gains, or just sit there and watch it eroding and saying, I didn't pay any capital gains on it? So honestly, this is a time where you have to take critical decisions. And that's why I say each and every one of these families going through all of these charts, they are well prepared emotionally and based on the portfolio to go through all of this. This is kind of that season where you're literally getting 10, 15 charts a day, because that is where we are. We have to watch a lot of these assets. So on average, you're getting 70 to 100 charts a week, and you're being updated here. So if you want to use that, jump in. It's all up to you. So guys, if you received value, smash the like button for me. I'll meet you guys on next video. Bye for now.